This is training for current voltage probing with the Lakeshore CPX-HF. When you begin, you'll notice the chamber on the right and the controller on the left. Since the system has been pumped down, we start by venting the turbo pump. Just turn this silver knob and you'll start to hear a hiss as the pump begins to vent. Then you can vent the sample chamber. Again, you'll be able to hear the chamber vent when you turn the black knob. Please follow this order of turbo pump first and sample chamber second, as it helps to keep the turbo pump blades balanced. Once the sample chamber is vented, you can remove the lid and place it to the side. We normally just find a countertop nearby to hold the lid while we continue our setup. Here's a look at a sample transistor we'll be using for our demo today. We'll be able to see the features in more detail when we load it into the chamber. One helpful preparation technique is to outline the device you're measuring to prevent crosstalk. You can use a razor blade to scratch away some of the soft material around the edges or to expose the bottom gate if necessary. Now we're ready to load our sample into the chamber. I'll turn on the light to a scope that hangs above the chamber. This will give us a good view of what's going on inside. Then I'll put the sample down with a pair of tweezers. There are a few features on the scope that are helpful for probe positioning. The bottom silver knob is used for focusing. The silver knob above it is used for zooming in and out on the sample. The black dial moves the arm in and out to find the right location. You can also swing the arm side to side to help find the best position. Now we can close the chamber. When you grab the lid, notice the 4 pegs around the edge. These pegs must align with holes that you'll see on the chamber to correctly position the lid. Before you close the lid, also check the O-ring to make sure that it is free of debris. Otherwise, it will be difficult to pump the chamber down later. Sometimes it takes a little patience to lock the lid in place, but you'll want to make sure it is in place before continuing. To begin the pump down procedure, first close the sample chamber purge valve. Now close the turbo pump vent valve. And then pull open the vacuum isolation valve. Finally, turn on the roughing pump. When the sample chamber pumps down correctly, you'll see the pressure start to fall. You'll also be able to hear that the roughing pump grows quieter the longer it pumps. If you notice that it's not pumping down, you might want to check the turbo pump vent valve to make sure there's no leak. Once the pressure is in the range of 10 to the minus 1 torr, you're ready to continue. Move the scope over the sample once again to help position the probe tips. There are 3 knobs used to move the probe tip in the 3 dimensions. The black one moves it forward and backward. There's a silver one pointed horizontally that moves it left and right. and there's another silver one pointed vertically that moves it up and down. It can be a little harder to see when the probe tip is in position vertically, so here's a suggestion. You'll notice that the probe tip appears to be more focused as it moves vertically until it finally reaches the sample. Then it'll move horizontally across the sample surface. You've gone just a little too far, but you know you've made contact, so you can back up a little if you like. Your first probe is in position. You may decide to test it this way, or you might also cover a light-sensitive sample with aluminum foil. Let's imagine your measurement is complete and you're ready to unload the sample. First, we'll retract the probe tips. Have another look at the sample to make sure all the probe tips have been retracted. Then we can turn off the light and move away the scope. We won't be needing the monitor anymore, so we'll turn it off. Let's turn off the roughing pump before we open up the sample chamber. Then we can close the vacuum isolation valve, open up the turbo pump vent valve, and open the sample chamber purge valve. Now we can remove the lid. We'll take away the sample with a pair of tweezers. Let's put the lid back to prepare for another pump down procedure. Here's another look at that. First, close the sample chamber purge valve. Then close the turbo pump vent valve. Open up the vacuum isolation valve. Then we can turn on the roughing pump. Once the pressure has reached 10 to the minus 1 torr, we can turn off the pump again. When you're ready to leave the probe station, please make sure that it's ready for the next user. For more information, please refer to the standard operating procedure located near the probe station. Thanks for your attention, and as always, remember to work safely.